FKC Fantasy Hour. We're back. We had last week off because it was one member of this panel's birthday, and well, we had a draft, and things got a little sideways because some people in that draft decided to take the entire 2-minute clock for the 10th and the 11th pick because they supposedly won the league or some bullshit last season, but they just decided to take 2 minutes for each pick of the back-to-back. At one point, I literally text. Yeah, at one point I text Craig and I said, "I swear to God, if this happens again, I'm out of this league. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. It takes too goddamn
Craig,
long for an online draft."
How was lineman camp, by the way?
Lineman camp was good. I learned a lot. Little hand shuffling back and forth. You get up underneath, just grab that bull. And
did Coach tell you there's a hold on every play?
On two. Stuff like that. You get them right underneath them. I also learned how to do some cow tipping.
Did Coach tell you that there's a hold on every play? You just got to find a way to get away with it?
Yeah, it's up to the referees if they want to call it.
All right, just make sure. Just wanted to make sure that Bud Kilmer wasn't such an asshole.
Did you get a peek at the script this year or no? Do you know what's happening?
Me? No scripts for me.
No scripts at lineman camp.
I was kind of hoping
you got to wing it.
I was hoping you could give us
some
bets.
Yeah, some bets. Exactly.
I was hoping for some bets, goddammit.
Look, Ryan, I don't get disconnected here.
Nice.
So no, let me make a phone call. Touch it like that and hang up. Love technology. AI. Skynet is real.
So,
hi, Carol.
Everybody says hi, Carol, as she walks by. She says hello. So what we're going to talk about on tonight's show, we're going to discuss our fantasy football drafts from 2 weeks ago now that we didn't get to talk about because we didn't have a show last week. We'll talk life after the Achilles tendon and what you may need to do to go ahead and get yourself some replacements for some guys who no longer have Achilles. And then we will wrap it up with the final segment, which will be your daily fantasy plays that you need. Squad goals, the Golden Girls. That's a hell of an offensive line right there. I bet you Blanche could lay a hell of a fucking clip block.
Yeah, I bet.
Crack back.
Goddamn. Crack back, baby.
She definitely cracked a lot of backs.
Exactly.
Probably had hers adjusted a lot too.
Yeah,
Probably.
I can imagine.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk life in the Dynasty League. We'll start there. That's a excursion and a half. My draft on paper, I felt like I was happy with. And then somehow that paper caught on fire, and it was week 1. For those of you that don't know, my keepers were Christian McCaffrey, Chris Olave, Derrick Henry, Michael Pittman, Damian Pierce, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and then I had Joe Burrow in the 10th round. I had I don't even remember what pick I had. I want to say 7. Did I have the 7? Yeah, I had the 7.
I traded the 8.
At 7, I took Quentin Johnson of the Los Angeles Clippers. Went with Jahan Dotson, Dallas Goedert, then the keeper of Joe Burrow. The handcuff of Elijah Mitchell, Devin Singletary, the handcuff of Damian Pierce, Zay Jones, Jonathan Mingo, Evan McPherson, Derek Carr, and Cleveland's defense. Looking at my lineup from week 1, I believe my defense outscored my quarterback by about, 13 points. And I still only lost by 4. Good weeks by Chris Olave, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry gets me 13. The 0 from Dallas Goedert. Ryan, you're an Eagles fan. I need to ask you this because I feel like you're more
2 leagues.
Oh yeah. Is this a Jalen Hurts is trying to force the football into AJ and Devontae Moore, or was this because they were up 16-0 and thought they were cruising? They got away from doing what the offenses should be doing.
Yeah, I think it's the second part of that. I think up 16-0, and I don't even think he had. I think it was 1 target.
According to Yahoo, he had 1 target.
Yeah. So coach came out and said, we got to make that better. We got to, get this guy the ball, obviously. So that's already been addressed. But I think both parts of that are actually probably more correct than anything because AJ and Devontae probably had 12 targets between the two of them.
I don't know who
Somewhere
has
around
them
there.
for me to look.
Yeah, but you got to get Goddard involved. I mean, like we talked about, he's a top 5 tight end. He's one of the best in the biz. He's sure hands. And that offense should see the ball more. Definitely minimum 5 targets.
Devontae Smith had 10 targets in week number 1. I'm trying to figure out who has. I don't know who has.
Yeah,
AJ
he had a
Brown.
big game.
Who has AJ Brown in that league?
The same guy who's got, I want to say, is it the Waller guy too? I think or that Patty Mahomes. I know. I forget the team name.
I'm trying to find it right now.
What, Pitts Creek? I played him. He beat me.
Does he have AJ Brown?
I think so. Yeah, I think I went against. Yeah. All I know is he had Dallas's defense, but I had the Jets defense.
No,
and
he does
combined, our defenses put up 78 points.
He does not have him.
Yeah, I believe they'll address that. I believe, like you said, part of it is just those guys getting mega targets, and
they each had 10.
Yeah, that's 20. I mean, that's
probably 70% of the pass attempts.
Yeah, and that up 16-0 at that point. I mean, they didn't really have to start throwing the ball to the second half at that point.
Jalen Hurts in that game.
What was good for me, though, is the 2 leagues I have Goddard in, I won both of those games.
Yeah.
So we'll get him going into next week.
Yeah. You'd be hard pressed to find a good tight end this week. I don't think anybody had a.
I don't think there's a tight end in the league right now.
That's what I'm trying. And the top
Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett was the only tight end that I think that actually produced anything. And I think that's more because the Miami.
You have the Chargers everywhere.
Well, I honestly I think it's because Miami's secondary was so locked in on no. The corners were locked in on the receivers, the safeties, and the linebackers.
You sure about that?
Coverage were switched. Buddy, they were there. All right.
Okay.
They might have been locked in. Like, hey, I see you. You're right there.
Exactly. They were locked in. They saw them with 2 eyes.
Okay.
And they also saw them run by them. You know what? At one point, the old bones of Keenan Allen decided to run a Louisiana route. That's what we like to call the bayou, because literally by the time the cornerback adjusted, he was bayou. So when Keenan Allen is running those routes, you know there's a problem.
Yep.
So not the way obviously I wanted to start off. Only losing by 4 with that production or lack of production from a couple of skill players, the 0 from Goddard, the 3 from Joe Burrow. I'm not pressing the panic button in this league, not by any stretch of the imagination. No. I feel like these guys will get it going. The one fat snafu for yours truly, I benched Michael Pittman and started Jahan Dotson in front of him, figuring Arizona was a favorable matchup. I figured Sam Howell would try to be throwing the football all over the place, and they would get a quick lead. Maybe Dotson gets in the end zone once or twice. Washington escapes with the hair on their chinny chin chin of a Josh Dobbs upset. That kind of shot me in the foot as if I start Michael Pittman, I win that matchup by like 15-ish. So, but it's one of those where I fell in love more with the matchup than the body of work. Plus the question marks of Anthony Richardson. I didn't know if he was going to be, oh, hey, we're going to wear some handcuffs. We're going to handcuff him a little bit. They kind of let him just go out there and wing it. So,
he looked good. He looked good.
With the exception of the late turnover, I don't necessarily know that he looked bad throughout the game at all.
They were in that game, and I think with the lead too at one point.
That's what I'm saying. The turnover late is what ended up doing them in.
And that's an experience. But I mean, they were talking about him. I think he slept in the facility the night before, and even pre-draft they were talking about how much of a this kid is just in the facility working on his craft. How much of a good kid he is. I think he's going to be successful. I really do. Imagine if they had Jonathan Taylor.
Wow, weird. Seems like he should be around. Ryan, your roster as I'm looking at it right now. You kept Stephon, you kept CD. Obviously, you kept Travis Kelce.
Yep.
More on him later. Garrett Wilson, Travis Etienne, Aaron Jones. Your late keeper was
Jalen Hurts.
Hurts down it.
Yep.
Wait. Oh, in the 9th round. Okay. You went
A little
Jahmyr
later
Gibbs.
than that. I didn't go Jahmyr Gibbs. I traded for Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh, that's right. You traded for Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, if you want to talk about that, we can
more on that in a second. Let's just go through the roster.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs, Tank Bigsby, Nico Collins, Kareem Hunt, Ty Chandler, Pittsburgh's defense, Jake Elliott, Cedric Tillman, Luke Musgrove, and Jerome Ford. The trade, yeah, scrub.
I had 14 7th-round picks.
He really did. So he obviously moved some picks in the Jahmyr Gibbs trade. But his final our last round of that draft was, I shit you not, Pittsburgh, Jake Elliott, Tillman, Musgrove, and Ford. He had 5 of the last 10 picks in the draft.
I did.
Literally.
I gave up this year's first round for Travis Kelce last year. So that was already gone. Then we decided to go to 7 keepers, so it really didn't affect me as much. And then with me doing the coin toss and us taking 8. But the interesting thing we did this year was the snake reverting back to the first pick following the next round. After, I guess, what round 7 is the first round, or round 8 would be our first round. 7, right, correct. 6 in a keeper, yeah. So I gave up number 1, and then I approached Teddy with this trade proposal probably about 2 weeks before the draft. I didn't want to obviously tell you guys just in case you wanted to jump on it or try something yourself, but I really do love this kid Gibbs, man. I really do. I think he could be the next Alvin Kamara. I mean, the way he looked playing against KC, he looked like he was running with purpose.
I hit the over on that.
Oh, did you, by the way?
I hit the over on that, but 41 rushing yards. He had 42. I hit the over on that.
Yeah.
But I lost because Jared Goff decided to miss the passing yards by 6. I had him.
Well, maybe if they keep Gibbs in there a couple more plays, you get there.
So literally, I had Jared Goff over 259.5. He threw for 253. I had 41. Gibbs ran for 42, and the best bet of this entire parlay in my mind was at plus 175. No team to have 3 consecutive scores in that game. That hit too. So literally, I am 6 Jared Goff yards away.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jared. Appreciate that, my man.
Yeah. So going back to the Gibbs, we traded. So we lost the first round. We traded our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of this year's draft to Teddy, and also next year's 2nd with the first round pick swap, whoever has the worst record. So in essence, I gave up 4 picks and a pick swap. None of them a first round pick, though, mind you. And I got the number 2 pick overall in the draft. I didn't think it was a bad trade for me, especially like you said, with those keepers. I can let this kid develop for a year and be something, just like I did ETN. All my receivers are good. I have a starting lineup without the kid, and that's my flex now. And me and Todd talked about it. I discussed it with Craig. All I want out of him is 10. If I get more than 10, it's a bonus. 4 or 5 catches a game, 40, 50 yards rushing, and if you hit a long touchdown, I'm at 15, 20 with the guy. No risks on my end. Teddy, I don't think he could wait a year. And we'll get into Teddy's draft, too, and what he did with the picks that he got from me, too. But, I mean, give me your guys' take on it, because I know draft day.
Just light it on fire.
Who, me or him?
Him.
Well, because now you
how are you just picks, buddy? He's dropping 3rd round draft picks.
Yeah.
After one game.
He took with my picks.
Like, what are you doing?
Let's discuss, because my selling point for this whole trade is what Mike did last year with his draft. We discussed it, I think, when you weren't here, Craig. I'm like, Mike had 3 picks. Listen to his 3 picks he had. I mean, I know this week it don't mean shit.
It was Dameon Pierce. It was Michael Pittman and Chris Olave. Yeah. I hit all 3 of them last year.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's what you need to do. You need to go young and hope you hit. And then he takes fucking Deion Jackson, A.J. Dillon, and some other things that.
But still, like he gave me shit. He gave me shit about Deion Jackson. Oh, Deion Jackson is when Jonathan Taylor comes back. But if Jonathan Taylor gets traded, you still have, and Hull got hurt. He's got nobody. There's nobody. It's him and Zach Moss who has a wrist injury. So there's not going to be a lot of trust and faith in Moss in the first couple of games back. So you could have Deion Jackson with a mobile quarterback. I don't know, 15, 16, 17 carries. Like, how are you dropping that after one game? Case of its heads. Love them and all, but
right. And what you gave up to give me,
you gave up capital.
Now I will say I did help him. I did help him with the first couple picks. Like he had Zay Flowers, who I was in love with, and I would have taken him and had a pick. Hopefully, if he was there. But and Justin Fields for his team, he went young with those two picks. After that, it was a fucking train wreck. I will not take any credit for what he did after that. I think he went, like I said, he went A.J. Dillon, Deion Jackson, and I think another Javonte Williams. Or not Javonte Williams, or Jamal Williams.
No, I got his team right here.
I do too. I have the whole draft right here.
Zay, after his keepers, which were Mike Williams, Sutton Brown, McLaurin, Herbert, Robinson, Zay Flowers, Evan Ingram, Jamal Williams. Deion Jackson, his fourth pick, he's already dropped.
Yep.
Zeke, Odell Beckham, Elijah Moore, Deshaun Watson, Justin Fields, which was his keeper in the 15th round, A.J. Dillon in the he drafted Justin Fields in the 15th round.
Yes, that's what I was saying. He kept
A.J. Dillon and Brandon Cooks.
Yep.
He kept Deshaun, right?
Yeah, he kept Deshaun. That's what I was saying. He kept Deshaun, and then I said, hey, you got to take the best available at that point. He's taking people that he's not thinking long term like me and you, like we did. You got to be a rookie.
This is in order.
Well, don't forget, he's taking my picks for.
What does he have for you next year? But what I'm saying, does he have anything for you next year or no?
Just the second round.
This isn't right.
Yeah, I didn't think it was right.
No, it's not, because it has me with back-to-back picks. It has Bijan, Quentin Johnson going 2. The order is messed up on Yahoo.
But still,
I guess it's the way it's just the way it was input. That's all.
Yeah, because there was a lot of trades. So meanwhile, like I said, I got Gibbs. I thought it was a good investment for my team. You guys think Teddy made? I think Teddy did make out because of the picks he made. He could have done something.
The reality of the situation is, if Teddy's making that trade, it has to be to hit the reset button, and the reset button is not Jamal Williams and Evan Ingram
and A.J. Dillon and Deion Jackson.
Didn't he take those guys later? Because he has A.J. Dillon in like the 16th round. Either way, what I'm saying is maybe he's hoping for an Aaron Jones or an A.J. Dillon trade, which may not be off the table yet. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, if you are pressing that button and you're making this move and getting rid of an opportunity,
you draft nothing but rookies. Draft nothing but rookies.
That's what I'm saying. If you're giving up Jahmyr Gibbs, which is what you're giving up here,
because Bijan went 1, by the way.
A 50-50 carrying running back with David Montgomery for at least this year.
Yep.
With the upside of, after the David Montgomery experiment is over, that he is the number 1 running back there for at least the foreseeable future. And your decision was to punt it on veterans afterwards. Yep. A team that we have sat on this very show and had conversations of, who is Ted going to keep? You have an opportunity to have a reset here and now find a way to get younger immediately. At the end of the day, sure. Is it something that you want to do? Probably not, because you don't want to light $400 on fire. I get it. Or $500 on fire. I don't even know how much it is legal anymore.
Yeah, $500.
So you don't want to light $500 on fire. I get it. But sometimes you got to do a hard reset. Because at points, teams are going to age themselves out of contention. It is a real thought process that I'm having right now looking at my roster. Christian McCaffrey is not getting younger. Derrick Henry is not getting younger. That's why I drafted Dameon Pierce last year. He plays for a really shitty Houston team who's going to have draft picks at the top end of the draft for the next 3 to 4 years. which are probably going to be used on offensive linemen. All right, so I get the last couple of good years out of those guys. I trade them for a piece later on, maybe to a team if I'm out of the playoff race and Ryan's in it and he needs a running back and goes for Christian McCaffrey, and I can get draft capital back for him. Okay. I got everything I got out of him.
Yep.
I've had him most of his career. I have my name on that trophy 3 times. There's a reason why. Because at the end of the day, there will come a Father Time will catch up with everyone.
Yep.
And the problem is, at this point, Father Time has caught up with Teddy's team. And he has not found a way to make it any younger and or better. And that's a problem whenever you're trading a guy who can immediately come in and be a guy who's going to be in your top 6 keepers for the rest of his career.
Yeah. You're right. Well, look, Craig can attest to this. He went through a rebuild. I mean, people still think he's going through a rebuild, but I think you had the veteran receiver dilemmas and stuff too, and the all those decisions, and you've kept the Calvin Ridley for a couple of years, and you've done some things, and you drafted the kid from Detroit too, and you stashed him, so you've made some moves to get young, but also smart. We talked about me taking ETN and him taking Dobbins. I mean, I did that 2 years ago. I think I took ETN late, knowing he wasn't going to play that season, but I'll take the risk. I'll sit him on my bench for a year. I know I'm going to suck this year.
That's why we have IR spots.
Yeah.
It's not really taking up a roster spot because you're going to put him on IR the minute that he gets put on your roster, and you're going to pick somebody up for that roster spot.
Thank you. And not only that, I'll stash him. And if I hit 2 or 3 picks, Jalen Hurts, Garrett Wilson, here I am. Trade for Kelsey.
Yeah.
I got, so it can be done. It's been done with me. It's been done with Craig. It's been done with you.
I turned the torn ACL and a dream of Cooper Kupp into Derrick Henry last year.
Yeah.
For a shot to win a championship. And now Cooper Kupp with the hamstring. And now I'm the only guy who's actually starting somebody that was involved in that trade.
Yeah. I traded Henry before you got him to when Blake had him for Stephon Diggs straight up, and everybody thought I was crazy. Everybody thought I was crazy. That was my start of I'm going to go wide receiver. I don't care about running backs. And I know Derrick Henry's a beast, and I know he's going to rush for 2,000 sometimes, but guess what? He ain't going to do it forever. But guess what Stephon's going to do for 5 years? Catch a lot of balls.
That depends on if Josh Allen can actually get him the football and not throw it to the
goddamn
Jets.
My man still had 11 for 100 and something in a touchdown. I don't give a fuck if 3 of them to the Jets.
I think, especially in that matchup, that might be the max that he'll get against the Jets for the foreseeable future.
Yeah,
when they play each other again, I don't think they get back there. I think Sauce, I think, figures it out. It doesn't really let him, because those guys went back and forth a lot last night.
Yeah.
And I'll say this coming out of that game, I still think that Sauce Gardner is probably one of, if not the best corner in football right now.
Accurate.
If you want to have an argument, you can bring up Pat Surtain II over there in a Mile High. I think he's pretty damn good too. But when Sauce and everyone, and I opened up TikTok before the A-Aron injury. Somebody posted a video, and it was like Stephon Diggs after his first catch just staring a hole through Sauce Gardner. And I was like, this isn't me playing corner. Like, Sauce Gardner is not going to be scared because you gave him the googly eyes. Like,
no.
This is a guy who went into fucking Lambeau last year, beat Aaron Rodgers, and walked off the field wearing a cheese head. You think someone staring at him is going to intimidate Sauce Gardner? You've lost your mind.
Buddy, did you see the owner was iced out? They said he got a chain from Sauce and said Woody on it. I think Jake threw the like text.
He probably couldn't get through the fucking metal detector with that.
He got one for Aaron Rodgers too. So maybe Rodgers can pawn that and get some money if he's hurt.
Facts. All right, so Craig's roster as we wrap up the dynasty draft: Justin Herbert, Kenneth Walker III, Alexander Madison, Joe Mixon, Calvin Ridley, Jamison Williams, and your late round was DK in the 11th, correct?
Yep.
The rest of that roster shakes out as Christian Watson, Deontay Johnson,
Back-to-back hamstrings.
Oh, God.
Got him.
More on that later. Raheem Mostert, Dalton Schultz, Jarrett McKinnon, Kendre Miller, Jared Goff, Adam hooked on a Thielen. The New York Jets defense, not bad.
Not
bad at all. And then some young Hoku.
Chico.
We love us a little young ho on this show.
She was a hoe.
For sure.
Oh, sure.
I was battling with trying to figure out who I really wanted to take with my first pick. I had a huge crush on Quentin Johnson, for a couple of weeks. But everybody in that wide receiver room decided to stay healthy. So now you've got Eckler, you've got a healthy Mike Williams, you've got Keenan Allen healthy, Josh Palmer, Everett. I don't want to waste on the sixth. Here we go. On your sixth option. Like I know that I've built for the future, keeping Ridley for 2 years, Jamison Williams for a second year. Love Madison going forward. He'll just get incorporated more into that offense. But I was really kind of hoping to just hit home runs on Watson and Johnson, and hammies happen, and one's gone 1 week, and now Deontay Johnson's gone for a few weeks. And I do realize that the future value with Quentin Johnson, because having him with Herbert, because it's pretty much Keenan Allen's gone next year, and can the other guys stay healthy?
Mike
he
Williams
definitely slides right into number 2.
Mike Williams left that. Mike Williams left that game for a couple plays with a potential blue tent visit. He did pass concussion protocol and came back into the game, but was a non-factor after the hit. And I think when it comes to Quentin Johnson, in that conversation, they ran the ball a lot against the Miami Dolphins, 240 rushing yards as a team.
But I think because Eckler is now going into his free agent season, and you can pretty much tell this is going to be his last season there, they're going to run him into the ground. They're going to get every last run out of him and then be like, go to free agency.
No, you're already have for the next 4 weeks because his ankle's a little fucking tender too.
Yep.
So, and that's why I think Quentin Johnson, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen this week, the next couple weeks, are going to be guys that you want to play. Just because if it's Josh Kelly, it's Josh Kelly and that's it. I don't even know who the hell the backup is there. So that might be an even bigger question moving forward of where they go without him. I don't hate the draft. I hate the fact that you guys got hurt. I like Christian Watson. I think Jordan Love will all pun intended love him whenever he's actually able to stay on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate the Deontay Johnson pick, even though I'm a Bengal fan and I have to play them twice a year. I think that's a great pick. Unfortunately, like you said, you just ran into back-to-back guys with back-to-back hamstring injuries. The only pick I necessarily don't really quote love is the Raheem Mostert pick. I'm not a big Raheem Mostert guy.
No, I get it. At that point, I was just looking at my roster and I'm like, okay, I have my 3 running backs. At that point, I had 5 receivers. Mm-hmm. So I was like, just let me start looking for a bench guy, and all the starters were gone. And I know that Jeff Wilson was out for the first 4 weeks, so I'm like, just let me scoop him up. If he can just generate some value, maybe I can trade him to one of the many Dolphin fans in our league who will gladly take him on their team. So
I'm not disagreeing with you. I had him whenever he was in San Francisco for like the 3 weeks that he was good. And then I was like, oh, cool. I have a number 1 running back. And then all of a sudden he got hurt. And then he was never the same guy ever again. So it's I just don't love Mostert.
World-class speed, man.
Yeah, he was the primary back. He scored 13 points in our league, the way that we score in the Dynasty League. 37 rushing yards, a touchdown. He had 2 catches for 13 yards. Bench player, that's fine scoring wise. But I don't necessarily know that that's number 1 running back scoring. So and I think that's because the Miami Dolphins are going to expect Tua Tagovailoa to throw the ball a lot this year, which I don't think is going to be a good thing for Tua Tagovailoa. It worked this week because he played a Swiss cheese defense But I want to see him throw that ball that many times against the Jets.
Yeah.
Or against
Yeah, good
Buffalo.
luck.
Or here you go, even better, against the New England Patriots, who found a way to stop Jalen Hurts from scoring most of the second half. And I'm supposed to believe that Tua and Tyreek are just going to blow the top off of that defense led by Bill Belichick. Don't think so, Scoot.
Just touching back on your draft, Craig. I mean, that's a 50-50. You could have gone either way with that first pick. I wouldn't have been mad. I like the Watson pick. I think we talked about it being a bad move on Brandon's part because now look, they had 2 wide receivers on a starting team that scored 3. How do you think they did this week? They played us. I don't think they broke 100.
Not very good.
You know, Higgins had 0. Maybe Chase had 9. You know, you got to break that up, and you should have kept a Christian Watson just for, you know, that.
I tried to trade them for either one of them.
Yeah, I know.
I
don't know why you didn't go after and just be like, just so you have the hookup for Higgins. That's what I said. I'm like, he's got Burrow.
Buddy, I text Brandon. I said, either one.
You know,
He told me no, and I said, don't be mad at me that you think that this is the Antonio Brown 2.0 trade happening all over again.
Yeah, you gotta let those feelings go.
But this kind of goes back to a couple of years when Mike had a bunch of keepers that, you know, nobody wanted to trade him for, and ultimately you have to drop somebody.
Lamar Jackson.
But the thing is, I'm not keeping 2 guys on the same team, which is why I didn't take JSN. I would love JSN going forward, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
But I have DK.
Exactly.
You know,
gotta pick one. You gotta pick
what am I going to do? Draft them and then hopefully trade them? What they need to do is just try to trade Higgins every week.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been mad at the Quentin Johnson. I might have just looked a little harder at that one just because, like we talked about, the hookup going forward with that quarterback and then number 1.
Brandon, if you listen to this show, T. Higgins for
Quentin
Johnson.
Higgins? Yeah.
I'll trade you youth for some fun.
So speaking of which, hold on.
Higgins
Somebody
is a late round keeper too.
Hold on. Somebody in this little group here threw it out last night that Garrett Wilson was for sale already.
No, that was in the NFL. You guys took that all wrong.
That was the ghost. That was the ghost of Zach Wilson. You said.
And that was my number 8 pick in the NFL draft, where people looked at me like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Really? Did you see this draft? We got to talk about that one." Tyreek won. Travis Kelce.
Oh, the remedial league.
The remedial league. Thank you.
Hold on. I have the drafts on my phone.
I just want to while you're looking that up, let's talk about number 1 overall selection. Florida man took Tyreek Hill.
Yes, he did.
Because he's a Florida man.
He promised me 2. 2,000. He promised us.
Honestly, the second touchdown catch that he had against the Chargers was pretty balls. I'm not gonna lie, that was a fucking hell of a play.
That thing was thrown on a rope too, man.
Yeah, that was a hell of a play. I will tip my cap to him on that throw, like in Tyreek's catch. But my guy, if he does that against any corner that turns his head, that's probably picked.
All right, so we're gonna go the first round in the remedial league. We have, like you said, Florida man taking Tyreek Hill. Brandon taking Jamar Chase.
He said he would take him 1.
Connor.
So I would have fucked it.
Connor proudly coming up to the front of the podium. Kelsey.
Travis Kelce.
Which means in this league, Justin Jefferson went 4th.
Hold
on. The number 1 receiver, the number 1 player in all of fantasy football.
But hold on. Let's backtrack this, okay? Travis Kelce looks awful now because he hyperextends his knee.
No.
I'm not reaching that far for.
Oh, but I'm
ever.
What I'm saying is.
Like, what is happening?
I don't know.
Where is he going?
I literally just tripped out on fucking acid on that.
Me too. Flashback.
Ceiling fan. Acid.
What is happening?
I don't know. We'll figure it out together.
Okay.
All I'm saying is no, I would not have drafted Travis Kelce at 4 personally.
No, 3. Sorry, 3.
Even the 3. But what I'm saying is the injury and him not playing week 1 makes it look worse in hindsight. That's all I'm
And
saying.
that's what shit talking in fantasy football is for.
Oh no, I'm not.
It's
I'm not
ripping
disagreeing.
your friends.
But if he comes back and puts
Buddy,
up,
Jefferson is still there, and my man says, "Hold up, wait a minute, let me put some Travis Kelce in here."
Because there's probably two quarterbacks that are projected to score over 400 points, and one of them throws the football to Travis Kelce.
Well,
Yeah, who didn't get that?
Then next, no.
Okay, but here's the thing. While he looks stupid for taking him at the 3 because of what happened in week 1, he looks like a goddamn genius because Travis Kelce is going to be the only one that catches the goddamn ball in Kansas City from here on out because it's not Sky Moore. It's not fucking Kadarius Toney. We've proven that.
Until the 7th cornerback on the next team accidentally just flies into his knee.
Don't worry. He'll put a knee brace on. That guy's a fucking psychopath.
Why would you wish that upon me, dude?
No, sorry, buddy.
I don't know. That's what I was saying. I was just saying he's going to be the only one that's going to catch the football.
Yeah, there's more though. Hold on, it gets better.
So it goes Jefferson 4, McCaffrey 5. I take Diggs at the 6, Eckler 7, Garrett Wilson 8, the Sun God, then CD, then AJ, Nick Chubb, Bijan, Saquon. I take Ridley, Devontae Adams, Tony Pollard. Oh, Connor's up. And Connor runs back up to the podium. So proud.
Here we go.
With the second pick in the second round, Connor takes wide receiver from your Los Angeles Rams, Cooper
16
Kupp.
Oh,
hold on.
Please tell me his team name is Team Injury.
No.
Team IR.
So then Waddle, Mahomes, Henry. Then he takes Josh Allen. Yeah, he doesn't take a running back to the 4th round. So he goes.
I would have taken Patrick Mahomes where he took Cooper Kupp. If you're taking Kelsey there, you're taking Patrick Mahomes.
That's what we just said.
Let's be real here. You're taking both.
Cooper Kupp. He takes Cooper Kupp.
Two girls.
So now Jake's first 2 picks are Tyreek Hill and Pat Mahomes.
Yeah. He has the number 1 scoring quarterback and probably a wide receiver that if he hits the 2,000-yard mark will be the number 1 fantasy wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad start.
and then in the 6th round,
gift you a playoff spot.
Mike. Right. Then in the 6th round, Connor took Christian Watson.
Whoa, it's Mr. Seal your ACL.
Hammy. I have Watson. This is Hammy.
Buddy, the only part of the leg that hasn't blown up on somebody on Connor's team is the ACL.
He might have had Aaron Rodgers too.
Yeah. I will say this, Ryan. In Manning's league, I think that's my best.
I had Rodgers in there. What?
I think that's my best team is in Manning's league.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Mike, I have Diggs. I got Diggs, Ridley, Olave, and Metcalf for my first 4 picks.
He went bananas on wide receivers.
Then I went Kenneth Walker, Jonathan Taylor, Kamara, Goddard, Brian Robinson, and I was the last person to take a quarterback, so I took Deshaun.
That's where you went wrong right there. I would have gone like a Jared Goff or Derek Carr or something later.
I would have tried to find someone that I have over wide receiver.
Or that too, stack it.
Gino, Derek Carr, because you have Olave.
I wanted to get Lawrence. because I got
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
But
who has right on Ridley, huh? Who has Trevor Lawrence? Who has Trevor Lawrence in that league?
Brandon, that was his late round keeper, but now he
Blake.
No.
Sorry. So yeah.
And is he? Who are his wide?
Blake's wide receivers. All right, so I'm looking at his bench or the bottom half of the draft.
Because I'm thinking to myself, is this a wide receiver, one of your depth wide receivers?
All right, Blake has
Trevor Lawrence and a running back.
No, Blake has Jefferson, Pollard, Jacobs, Higgins, Hawkinson, Pittman, Lawrence, Lockett, Montgomery, Sutton, AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon and Trevor Lawrence for one of your four wide receivers?
Not bad.
I mean, because then at least you get the double stack. You know, obviously
you're keeping Ridley out of it, so it's actually one of the 3.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: Brian Robinson had a nice game against the Arizona Cardinals. It helped
that
Antonio Gibson fumbled.
Yes, but Gibson. They said Gibson looked like shit. But here's my thing:
Yeah,
in this league, it's Jonathan Taylor and Kamara who are sitting in my injured reserve spots,
right,
and that's
exactly.
the
So
thing.
he's
With
got
hold
that
on, Mike.
guy.
Mike, in the NFL, if you're suspended, I put him in the reserve spot.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem per se with one of them. I think one of them will be just fine. I think the other one, I think you're giving too much value to because he's not going to get carries at the goal line. Jamal Williams will have the lead in
Which,
touchdowns on
which to
that
me
team.
is fine because I got four guys in my flex spots, and they're all
yep,
wide receivers. So I'm worried
yep.
about two
And
receivers,
wide receiver
and if I
ones.
have five of them to pick from, I'm happy. And if they all stay healthy, I don't have to worry about, oh, let me go try to get this guy on the waiver wire for what, as a sixth running back because he's a starting running back somewhere else. So I gambled obviously because I took one, two, three, four, five. I took Taylor and Kamara back to back 6-7.
Yep. And I thought it was a
You
nice
know,
strategy with all those wide receivers, and then got late round value with Walker and some other ones that he nailed too. I thought it was a
I,
nice strategy.
I'm just Jonathan Taylor, not in Indianapolis. You can sell me on.
Yeah.
You can sell me that bill of goods.
So that's what he
I'm
took
just
the
saying.
risk reward.
And I have no problem with that. My problem is you can't sell me on Jonathan. You can't sell me on Alvin Kamara. I don't think Alvin Kamara is the same anymore, and I think he won't be a all down back in New Orleans anymore. I think Jamal Williams will be the guy, especially on third down,
Yeah.
especially in the goal line area.
Yeah.
So that kind of takes a little value out of Alvin Kamara. They seem to like that Rashid Saheem guy a lot. Out of every part of the field, whether it be the running back out of the backfield, whether it be a slot guy. I think he's going to take some value from Alvin Kamara. And honestly, my question here is Brian Robinson's first 4 weeks, like the best matchup he had was this past week against Arizona. It's the
that's
question of
fine,
getting to week 4.
which is fine. Like I said, if I got to throw a Jalen Warren in there, if I could pick somebody up on the waiver wire,
Yeah.
I'm not really too worried. This is the remedial league afterwards. I'm playing this guy this week,
Yep.
so
That's why I was saying if it's Trevor Lawrence and AJ Dillon for one of the wide receivers, you get a guy who has the potential to be the number one running back in Green Bay now with the hamstring injury of Aaron Jones, that you could then have the depth there while still having 5 wide receivers that are studs. That's all I was saying. If
Yeah.
especially if you want a guy like Trevor Lawrence that you can stack with your Calvin Ridley, whom he seemed to fall in love with during that Indianapolis game.
Yeah.
So that's all. That's the only reason why I was bringing up potentially trading for a Trevor Lawrence in that aspect.
well, I mean, let's see what the therapist can do. I mean, the only thing is with Deshaun is this is he has a first full off season of practicing. He wasn't restricted in the off season. And look, Mike, we watched that game together. It was a shit show of a game. The weather was
I
terrible.
agree.
Awful.
So I'm not going to
Nick
like
Chubb
look
looked
to
good.
do. Don't get me wrong. I would love to have, well, yeah, every running back should look good because defenders don't know where you're going. Same thing in the snow. The offense has the advantage in a bad weather game. They know the routes they're running. The defender's got to keep up with them. You're just not going to throw the ball a lot. But he got me like
Yeah,
20
that's what I
something
said.
points. I'm happy with the 20 something points in a
Yeah.
shit rainy game. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens going forward.
I project. What's he projected to score this week? 20 against Pittsburgh on Monday night.
Yeah. NFL's got him at 22.78.
I think I would take the under on 22.78.
Mike, you know what we forgot to lead with tonight?
Desmond Ritter alert.
Yeah. By the way, I had Drake London starting a bunch of lineups too. How do you do? 0. Along with T. Higgins, by
Hey.
the way. Too.
Drake London, Dallas Goedert.
Hey, I can't even get into the 2-quarterback league for some reason, but I know my team was trash this week because guess who my quarterbacks were? Lamar Jackson, Danny Dimes.
I counter with Joe Burrow and
Dak
Dakota
Prescott.
Rain Prescott.
Yeah. And then
I've got Herbert and Lawrence.
Yeah, you did
And
pretty good.
Olave
Hey,
and
Craig,
Ridley.
shut the fuck up.
Yeah, we didn't ask you.
Yeah,
you guys were talking about the 2-quarterback league.
Yeah, this is the
Let's
league
talk about
where
my shitty
no
team.
quarterbacks fucking play.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I saw this on TikTok and I want to bring this up to you guys. I think it'd be fucking hilarious. An anti-fantasy football league where I find a way to give like negative points and you try to have like the worst score ever. So like you're drafting shitty. Like you go up there and you draft Danny Dimes with the number 1 overall pick because he would have scored you 85 fantasy points with his shit game on Sunday night. Like just the negative league. I feel like that'd be so much fun.
Football.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be so much fun.
I was gonna
Every incompletion is a point.
Speaking of shitty teams, we didn't get to ask Craig how his vampire team scored this week.
I think I got like 48 points.
I would say 54 points. Who'd we put
Something
on?
like that.
Sam Howell and 17 tight ends.
Yeah. No, I think I had what's his name was in there. Who was in there? Let me see. I don't even have that team brought up.
I think I only scored like 70 points in that league.
Yeah, me too. I think I dropped.
I got dog watered. I got dog watered in that league.
I'm just rooting for Craig at this point.
I lost 133.2 to 73.2.
Get him.
So I got murked.
Yeah.
I don't know. ESPN takes forever.
But I faced the person who scored the most points.
95
we could talk about this because now he's got. Look at the options he's probably got. He's probably got Josh Kelly. He's probably got what's the kid from the wide receiver?
No, Josh Kelly was drafted.
Start both running backs in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go. You got a list of the free agents that you can look at.
I have the waiver or I have the league up. Hold on.
In ESPN.
Yeah. Let's see. Flex players. Puka Nacua.
Yeah, that's who I was talking about. He had like 11 targets, Greg.
Kyron Williams.
I know. Thanks, buddy. I watched that game. All I kept hearing was Puka Nacua. I'm like, what about Van Jefferson?
Yeah. No, we got Puka Shells. We got Kyron Williams, Kendrick Bourne, Rashid Shaheed in New Orleans. I talked about him a little.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson, if Deontay Johnson is out in Pittsburgh.
That's not bad.
Justice Hill.
Deontay Johnson's. They already said Deontay Johnson's going to be out multiple weeks. They just haven't.
Yeah, they said like 4 weeks.
Justice Hill, Hayden Hurst,
Justice Hill's out there.
Nene Westbrook and Keena.
Yeah. Justice Hill and or the other 75 running backs that are going to be a committee now.
Buddy, we're talking vampire. Who gives a shit? You need him for 1 week.
My guy. Justice Hill had 2 rushing touchdowns.
Thank you.
I know.
I'm starting the guy who's the goal line back. We've already proven that it's not fucking Gus Edwards.
You don't need him to be a 100-yard fucking rusher.
Yeah,
you just
I don't.
Points.
Just get in the goddamn end zone 3 times. It's the same as me rushing for 150 yards.
More than you know, buddy. You fucking take it.
There's Justice Hill. Let's see, rostered.
This is crazy. I want to see how this is the only thing that intrigues me. We're in week 1 and look what he's already got.
Puka Nacua and fucking 3 running backs.
If he
Puka Nacua is going to have like 1 catch for 3 yards.
Keeps this going, dude. He gets 2 or 3 good players and peels off a fucking couple wins, dude. Look out.
Right, let's see who am I dropping this week? Dolch.
All of them.
Yeah.
Dolchich, drop.
Just drop the whole team. Just reboot.
What quarterbacks are available with good matchups this week too?
According to ESPN, as I bring that back up.
I'm definitely starting LaPorta.
Top quarterbacks available: Jimmy Garoppolo, Mac.
Who was it?
Jimmy Garoppolo, Mac Jones, Ryan Tannehill, Baker Mayfield, Kenny Pickett, C.J. Stroud, Zach Wilson, Bryce Young, Josh Dobbs, Desmond Ridder, in order, as well as Sam Howell, who's already on his roster. I mean, honestly, I'm probably starting Baker Mayfield against Chicago.
Where's that game at?
That game is in Tampa, I believe.
Yeah, Tampa's
in Tampa.
Yeah, definitely.
Desmond Ridder's available.
I know, but yeah, what was his stats, by the way?
Speaking of Desmond Ridder, let's get there.
Let's go.
What was our 3,000 yards and what?
10 with 15 touchdowns. 15 or
Okay.
16.
Either way, it's fine. Desmond Ritter, game 1, 15 of 18 for 115 yards and a touchdown.
Let's go.
You may win the touchdowns, but if he keeps putting up 115 yards, I think you're going to be a little short on that yardage.
We ain't getting there. We ain't getting there. Damn, because I was like, ooh, I watched that game on Red Zone too, and I'm like, oh, they're moving now.
Yeah, don't worry.
Bijan looked good, though.
Everybody watched it on Red Zone. His QBR was 28.8, which ranks 21st in the National Football League.
All right, listen, we're nowhere but up.
We're cooking with something, and I don't know if it's gas.
Yeah. And look, that division's crazy, man. We're talking 9 and 8. I don't even know if that could win it.
No, that division will be won by a team that wins at least 10 games because someone's going to go 6-0 in that division.
Oh my God! So could be Atlanta. They're off to a hot start.
Honestly, let's hold on. Talk about the division. 3 of them are at 1-0.
I know. New Orleans,
Tampa,
and
Atlanta. And guess what? Atlanta beat Carolina. If not, Carolina would probably be 1-0 somehow. Who are we talking about?
If Atlanta played and beat them, I think Carolina would have won.
Thank you, Craig, for the dynamite drop in.
Good man.
You're the one who said it, buddy.
And I said I led it with if Carolina played somebody else, they would probably have won too. It was impossible for them all to be 4-0, and one of them was playing each other.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's get to the injuries here. Let's talk injuries. Guys,
buddy, what do you do? Hold on. We just talked about my dynasty team.
Oh, right. Forgot about that. J.K. Dobbins officially placed on injured reserve today, torn Achilles. He gone.
Should have kept him.
I should have kept him. I don't know why you hadn't let you talk me into it, Rod.
I tried to talk you into it. I'm sorry.
You did.
You knew better.
So are they remaking Troy with all these Achilles injuries?
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously, we talked the Bermuda Triangle of running backs in Baltimore now. Justice Hill, Gus Edwards. They may sign Kareem Hunt, I've heard.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know that I want a piece of the Baltimore backfield. If you need a running back who may be available in leagues, I don't necessarily know that I'm running to go get any of these guys. I'm looking more at your Kyron Williams, if he's available, the goal line guy in Los Angeles, it looks like. I mean, even Michael Carter with the Jets as a third option there. I think he's a nice change of pace in New York. Honestly, Josh Kelly, if he's available in any of your leagues with Eckler's dinged up legs and stuff like that. Chris Evans in Cincinnati, it seems like he's established himself as the number 2 behind Joe Mixon. I don't want any piece of the Baltimore backfield, to be honest with you. I don't really want to be around it. That's not because I'm a Bengal fan. It's just because none of them are really going to take the ball and be the number 1 guy. And you're going to be playing running back roulette. Which one do I start this week? And I think that does more harm than good when you're trying to put a fantasy roster together. Daily fantasy, sure. If one of them gets hot and you ride the hot hand for a week or two, that's fine. But in your long-term thing, I think it's better to stay away from Baltimore moving forward. Also speaking about Achilles, A-Aron Charlie Rodgers, that's gone. We don't have that Achilles anymore. Zach Wilson is going to probably be the starter moving forward.
This was mom's boyfriend.
Yeah. I believe as soon as he threw that touchdown to Garrett Wilson, I sent in one of my group chats with some
what a catch, by the way.
Zach Wilson is going to bang someone's mom tonight. It was exactly what I said. So that being said, I think Zach Wilson is still the play. In New York, he's not a play in fantasy. I think this may not to chip on your parade, Ryan. I don't think this helps Garrett Wilson's fantasy value.
No, it doesn't.
But the takeaway here is Zach Wilson loves him some Garrett Wilson. He threw him the football a lot last night. And even in his targets didn't look like they took that much of a hit without Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. I don't necessarily know that life is too bad for Garrett Wilson if it's Zach Wilson the rest of the way. Might be in trouble if they make a trade or move to go get someone and try to bench Zach Wilson. But if Zach Wilson is the guy moving forward, life may not be that bad for Garrett Wilson.
I think his best friend is that defense at this point.
They're gonna have to keep him in games. Breece Hall's gonna have to run effectively. I think if you have a piece of the Jets' run game, I think you are doing backflips right now.
You're feeling really good.
Whether it's Dalvin, whether it's Breece, and like I said, Michael
Breece
Carter's available.
Good last night, man.
Breece looked very good last night.
Good.
And I know that they said they wanted to keep him on kind of like a snap limit because he's coming back from the knee injury.
I don't think you can afford that now.
Not anymore. I think we took the training wheels off, but I think that this is going to be a team moving forward that Breece is probably going to get 20 to 25, and I think Dalvin's going to get 15 to 18. I think this is a 35 to 40 carry a game team unless they're losing drastically, and I don't think that defense is going to let them be down drastically in any games moving forward.
We talked about their first 6 games were brutal, so I think we even talked about with Aaron Rodgers, them being 3-3 would be a miracle.
Yes.
So you hope to be 2-4 at that point. Even maybe you can't run these guys into the ground because you might be behind in a lot of these games.
Mm-hmm.
So do I like Garrett Wilson's value as much as I did before I drafted him at 8 and the keeper league and stuff? Absolutely. Do I love it now? No, but he still got 1,000 yards last year with the shitty quarterback and Mike White and all that. So I'm still going to get 1,000. I'm still going to get targets, but the ceiling was much, much higher with 8 back there,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like what Mike was saying, depending upon how much more they're going to run the ball. I mean, if you figure you're getting 55, 60 offensive plays a game, you're going to be running the ball almost 30 times. You're looking at 30, at best, 25 pass attempts out of this kid because they're going to put him in Trent Dilfer mode. Go out there, don't fuck up. The defense will handle everything.
Agreed.
If he, they're going to give him a couple of weeks. I really think they got to go out and get somebody. You got to bring in somewhat of a veteran just to stand behind them.
Who's
maybe somebody like Jameis, maybe somebody like Nick Foles, just somebody behind there. But they were talking all day today. They were talking all day today about how much he was learning from Aaron Rodgers in the whole offseason.
I know.
So Tyler Heineke.
Which is, I think they're just going to stick with him, but you got to get somebody back there as insurance because they traded away Mike White in the offseason.
Trade back for him. Get Mike White back.
Not with Billy Bob's concussions over there.
No, but I don't think
Miami can't afford to trade Mike White.
But I don't think Mike White knows this offense.
Yeah, right.
This is a whole new offense with Nathaniel Hackett.
Right.
I'm more of a, if you're going to make the move to trade for someone, Heineke, maybe a Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew. I'm Sam Darnold. If the Niners are all in on,
they already traded away Lance, so you're not going to trade away.
You're not going to go.
I'm saying I'm not the guy right now that people are saying Nick Foles. I'm not the guy sitting here saying Matt Ryan.
You go out there, you can bring them in on the cheap. That's why. Instead of having to give up some capital.
I don't want Jameis Winston. I don't care if
Carson Wentz, none of them.
I don't care if Jameis would pay for the crab legs that he stole at Florida State to come play for me. I'd tell him that.
Public.
No, I said that he stole while he was at Florida State.
From Publix.
Throwing up W's.
Yeah, he's eating W's, and he can go ahead and eat them somewhere the fuck else. The only quarterback right now on the Jets depth chart is Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson, yeah.
So there will be a move in some way, shape, or form because you're obviously not going in with no one. But is Bailey Zappi on the Patriots active roster now? Because I know that they went in with
because they got rid of Matt Corral. He disappeared for.
They put him on the reserve list. They put him on the reserve
Yeah.
list. He's still on the roster, but he's doesn't count
Something
against
like
their.
mental health issues or something with him. They said.
I mean, I'm literally looking just through. If you're going to hit the ejecto button and you don't want Zach Wilson to be your quarterback for some reason, which I think he'll be just
He
fine.
has to be.
Here's a list.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill,
Yeah.
Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Colt McCoy, Joe Flacco, Nick Foles, Trevor Simeon, Bryce Perkins, E.J. Perry.
You already named him.
Who the hell is E.J. Perry? Is that the guy from Journey? No, that was Steve Perry.
You already named the quarterback that I would sign.
Jake Luton.
Did you say gluten?
No, Luton. Jake Luton.
That's how you said gluten. I was like, wow.
Chase Garbers. Dude, this is like I'm reading the lineup from Major League. Who are these fucking guys?
This guy.
The Washington Sentinels.
Jake Luton.
No, the guy that I'm the Jet. If I'm the Jets, the guy I sign, it's real simple. It's Colt McCoy.
Not bad.
That's the guy I go get. He was in a training camp. He was working out. He was throwing the football all through the month of August and September. Yeah. That's the guy. That's the guy.
He should have been the starter until
he should be the start. He should be the starter in Arizona right now.
Until they were fucking tanking. I mean,
tank for Caleb.
Yep.
So,
I would. How heartbreaking for A-Aron though, man. That build up last night, dude.
Running up the American flag.
Yeah.
Representing New York on 9/11, and there goes the Achilles.
And it's gone.
Craig had some great fucking.
Oh, I know. We're not gonna mention those on the show because I don't want to get canceled.
We're good.
Producer Jim, don't cancel us. We're good. I promise. Stop.
160 seconds.
Jesus Christ. That wasn't the one I was mentioning, but
no, that wasn't the one.
That was not the one.
That's vanilla.
Jesus. So Carolina put out earlier today J.C. Horn, probably doubtful, the starting corner there. I believe that would put the New Orleans Saints wide receivers on your radar of guys that you may want to put on your daily fantasy rosters. Olave and Thomas both, without a number
Thomas
one corner there. Too. Yeah, he did. Don't have him on my roster anymore, obviously. Nope. He won me a couple titles. I can't be mad at him.
Still running those slants, dude. Still running those slants.
That's all he does is run 7-yard slants. 76 catches for 14 yards, all on slants.
Still running slants.
He just somehow finds the end zone twice.
Slant king.
Greg Dulcich, hamstring. He's out multiple weeks. That hurts because now I think Jerry Jeudy's the only guy who can catch a pass in Denver that's still there. Him and Cortland Sutton. Oh, Judy's questionable. He's not out yet.
Yeah, he's questionable.
I thought they said at the beginning of the season he was going to be out multiple weeks. Now it's a week to week thing.
It's been multiple weeks. He got hurt early preseason.
It's week 1.
Yeah, multiple from the injury. From the injury, not regular season weeks.
Oh.
Multiple weeks
from the injury. Are you straddling us right now? What the fuck?
Buddy, I'm sitting in my listen, I'm in my bedroom.
You're texting me right now, dude. Fucking can't right now. Jesus fucking Christ.
I'm in my bedroom because she's watching something on Disney.
Wait, jerking off? Jesus.
No, not yet.
Anyway,
the show's not over yet.
Daily fucking
Green Bay Packers, Christian Watson and Aaron Jones, both with hamstrings. Matt LaFleur said Jones is still being evaluated after leaving Sunday's game in the third quarter. That was yesterday. Obviously, no update yet. Keep an eye on your Matt LaFleur interview tomorrow for an update on your Aaron Jones. Christian Watson probably won't play this week, if I had to guess, gun to my head.
Another one?
I think he does. I don't think the hamstring's right, and I don't think they're going to rush him.
I think
back.
Dobbs is a good play in the daily too. He looked.
Romeo Dobbs is a great play this week, especially if Christian Watson doesn't play.
Yeah. Who are they playing? I know that's a big game too, right?
I believe they will be playing, as I have up.
Who's this?
They're playing the Atlanta Falcons on the road.
That's a big game. Yeah.
Big game Ritter against Big Game Love. Oh boy, I don't know how we're gonna fucking sit here and shoot through that one.
Jordan Love looked good too, by the way. Jordan Love looked good. There's another one if you could get him.
Yep, looked real
good.
And
another one.
Yeah. Bruised left knee for AR-15 in the loss. Questionable as of today. I think he'll be a full play. I don't think there will be any limitations on him. I think it's just the wear and tear of playing in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Talks right now. The Jacksonville Jaguars lost Brandon Strafe. He's questionable with a sprained ankle. Lost a couple of other offensive linemen. Maybe a rough day in the office for Sunshine and Travis Etienne this week. Keep an eye on their injury report to figure out
KC
exactly
too, by the
what
way.
A pissed off Kansas City team with a returning Chris Jones.
Yep.
If those offensive linemen for some reason do not play, keep an eye on what may be available there. Travis Kelce, as of yesterday, still questionable. Did Craig? Oh, I was like, did Craig's wall just turn purple? It really just confused me for a minute.
No, it's my TV.
Yeah, but it literally turned purple behind you, and I was like, I am not tripping on shrooms right now. I swear to God.
This whole night you were bugging me out.
Around the world, around the world.
Kim Horn over here.
Jacoby Myers, who had a pretty good game against the Denver Broncos, he's in concussion protocol. Keep an eye on him. If he is able to get himself cleared, I actually like him this week. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't really look like he's going to score well. They're playing on the road at Buffalo. But if we watch Zach Wilson kind of make some pretty good throws against this Bills defense, I think that they're going to try to get the ball out of his hands fast because they proved that if you let Milano and those guys get to the quarterbacks quickly, they're going to cause havoc. So I think this is going to be a Hunter Renfrow, Jacoby Myers, get the ball out of their hands quickly, try to keep the defense from destroying the ghost of Jimmy Garoppolo because he's not running away from any of them. Obviously the Chargers with Austin Eckler with his ankle. Keep an eye on that. Josh Kelly is the alternative there.
I'm so uncomfortable.
So we have Cooper Kupp on injured reserve. Puka Nacua looks like he's going to play the Cooper Kupp role until at least Cooper Kupp comes back. Any other Ram receiver that you're like, hey, you got to go get? Because it's not Van Jefferson.
Yeah,
they still have a Tutu or whatever his name was.
Tutu Atwell. He actually had some pretty big catches in that game. We were watching.
I think they both had the same amount of yardage. They were both over 100 yards against Seattle.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
painful game for you, Craig.
Yeah, it was horrible. Well, listen, we lost both our offensive tackles in the first half. You know,
but you already got 13-7 at that point, and then it just got away from you. Then,
yeah, it's just they just couldn't get it going.
They were really able to pin their ears back and get right after Geno in the second half after losing the two offensive linemen.
Yeah,
you could tell
especially. Oh my God. When
that's Aaron Donald's running for
Aaron Donald's coming down the middle out of God.
I'm looking still through here. Devontae Parker questionable. I don't love New England this week. New Orleans, no real injuries there besides Kendre Miller. I'm a full send on every member of that offense. Give me all the receivers, especially with JC Horn out. Hi, Magnum.
What's up, Mac?
Hi, buddy. Yeah, almost done.
The Giants, they're down a couple guys, including Wendell Robinson. Obviously, we talked about the A-Aron Charlie Rodgers injury. Kenneth Gainwell, ribs, listed as a non-participant in Tuesday's practice. Can they
got 4 more.
You got 37 more. The thing here, the question that I have here, the loss of Reed Blankenship, he's questionable, and the potential injury to James Bradbury with the concussion.
Kobe Dean too.
Yeah, you lost a bunch of guys this week. Minnesota, no James Bradbury if he can't get cleared. This might, and I want to say this very, very loudly for you all to understand. This does not mean that Justin Jefferson is going to go bananas, but it could mean that Jordan Addison has a huge game.
Hey, don't forget, it's prime time with fucking Captain Kirk. So I'm
Oh,
not
it's prime time.
worried.
Never mind. Never
Yeah.
mind. Kirk Coopins is going to throw
We're good.
7 picks in this game. Never mind.
That's
My
what
bad.
I'm saying. You guys
Don't
forgot
start a
what time
soul
the
from
game was
Minnesota.
on.
My bad. That's on me.
Right. Yeah.
Pat
I
Fryermuth.
you to say, yeah.
1 o'clock game. I'm starting him every fucking time. Pat Fryermuth questionable with a chest injury. Deontay Johnson, obviously we talked about him with the hamstring. He's out multiple weeks. I think Pickens is a good play this week, especially if Fryermuth doesn't play as well. Look for that. Nobody on the Niners. Obviously, we mentioned the offensive tackles for the Seahawks. If both of them don't play, I don't know how much I'm in
wait a
love
second. Wait a second, real quick. Seattle signed 41-year-old Jason Peters.
I saw that. To do what? Consultant?
Shit, at this point, bring back Walter Jones.
Lineman camp, baby.
A 41-year-old offensive lineman.
You might get the call, dude.
Get in there, man. Get in there.
Hey,
We need you.
I was at camp a few weeks ago. I might.
No.
What? You'd be better than a 41-year-old Jason Peters.
That is true.
All right, so that's really the bulk of your injury report. All right, let's wrap this up before we go. The guys that you feel that you need to start in your daily fantasy rosters. We mentioned number 1, that's Romeo Doubs. If Christian Watson does not go, I think Romeo Doubs is a slam dunk play here this week as the Green Bay Packers play the Atlanta Falcons. Honestly, aside from Romeo Doubs, is there another wide receiver that may be under the radar a little that we're sitting here talking about right now? Maybe that's sitting in that 37 through 50 range on your weekly rankings that you think that you need to go get.
I got a guy. He's really cheap too on DraftKings. Treylon Burks. He's playing against the Chargers this weekend.
Yeah, that's not a bad one.
That's a defense. That's a defense everybody's going to eat off of. And for $4,500, it's well worth it.
I'm actually logging into my DraftKings right now so I can see the value of some individuals in my dang self. I like the Treylon Burks play here. I feel like he's a guy, like you said, that Chargers secondary was not good.
No.
I don't think it's going to be good.
So torched him.
Yep.
I don't hate it. Let's see.
I'm not on DraftKings, but Nico Collins for me going up against Indy might be a good play. I don't know if he's cheap or not. It's my guy this year.
This is a guy, Nico Collins, baby. I'm sure. All right, so let's see.
But I do like Dobbs. That was the one
I think Romeo Doubs is a slam dunk here. Puka Nacua going off at 4,900 against San Francisco.
There you go.
I don't know about that against San Francisco, but
I think they're going to throw the ball.
I think they're going to get the ball out of Stafford's hands quick. They don't want him standing back there getting
he ain't wrecked back there.
No. Honestly, Curtis Samuel had a pretty big night. They're playing Denver. He's going off for 4,000. If you're a fringe guy there that you may want, as is Rondale Moore against the New York Football Giants. We saw how bad they play defense as well.
Terrible.
Other than that, the other name that I'm literally sitting here scrolling through and finding, speaking of Tennessee, Nini in Westbrook and Keenye, he's going off for 3,300. I don't hate him. If you don't get Treylon Burks, at the quarterback position, let's talk about them real quick. Obviously, you have the big slingers up front, with Mahomes and Allen and all of them. Brock Purdy and Matt Stafford, 5,600 and 5,700 respectively, going against each other. Don't hate either one of them if you're trying to get a value. I also
I believe Geno's about 5,900 this week, going against Detroit.
Geno Smith is 5,900. Jared Goff is 6,200, going against Seattle. I don't hate either. I don't hate either one of them.
Side note, last year, combined 93 points, I believe they put up last year in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sam Howell, 5,400 against Denver. And if you're looking for a super cheap route here, It's Baker Mayfield against the Bears going for 5,100, which means you'll probably be able to stack him with either Evans or Godwin and it not cost you too much. I like that option. He is actually right now looking at the Sunday slate. He is the cheapest starting quarterback, not named Zach Wilson, going into the week. So Baker Mayfield's a guy that you might be able to load up some other guys with. At the running back position, Josh Kelly, right now he's going off at 5,000. If Austin Eckler does not play in that game, I think he's a full send. I think he'll be in a lot of people's rosters.
Deion Jackson's pretty cheap.
4,900 for Deion. 4,900 for Deion Jackson. Justice Hill at Cincinnati. If Cincinnati proved anything, it's that they can't stop the fucking run. He's going off at 4,900. If he's going to be their goal line back, might be a guy that you can get and that might sneak into a roster that might get you a win or two. Speaking of goal line backs, Tanks Bigsby, old Tank. He's going off at 4,700. He's going to be the goal line back in Jacksonville from what it looks like. I like him. Otherwise, the running back position really feels like it's, if you're not taking two of those guys in the upper half, there really isn't that guy that you need to go get for cheap that's going to make you a piece. Tight ends, I don't think anyone's actually playing the position of tight end this year. I think you got to start one, but I don't think anyone's actually playing the position.
Good luck.
Obviously, Kelsey and Andrews both didn't play last week. Both are questionable this week. Sam Laporta, I think he's the guy this week.
Seattle can't stop them. Seattle has not been able to stop a tight end. I think since Tony Gonzalez was in the league. You have a tight end, daily, season long, start him against Seattle.
If Mark Andrews doesn't go, I think Isaiah Likely at 3,200 against Cincinnati. I think he's a decent play because he's cheap. Also, the combination of Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, one of the two of them. I think Josh Allen is going to try to use the middle of the field a little bit more against Las Vegas. And then Donald Parham / Gerald Everett. Either one of them with the Chargers. I think those are good plays. And then I guess defensively, is there any team defensively that you're like, hey, start them?
Arizona, home against the Giants. Their defense held their own. Their defense held their own on the road against Washington, and the Giants have no receivers.
Zero.
They have no receivers. So if you're not
sounds like the Kansas City Chiefs.
It's zero.
Yeah, but the Chiefs have a quarterback and a tight end.
If he plays.
Yeah.
True.
Right now, the cheapest defense is the Las Vegas Raiders. The Cardinals are at 2,600. Other notable defenses, the Packers are at 3,000. The Buccaneers, 3,200 against a Chicago offense that looked absolutely abysmal against the Green Bay Packers this week. All right, before we wrap this up, give me a name right now that's going to be the fantasy guy this week. Craig, I'll start with you. Give me the guy.
Gino. I think Gino has a monster game. I think it's going to be another big shootout in Detroit. The thing is with Seattle is he's going to have to get that ball out of his hands. If he can get that ball out of his hands, I think we got another 60-plus point game on our hands. So I think Gino can hopefully get a couple of DK, spread it around, let everybody eat. I like Gino.
Rhino?
I got to say, if it's the return of anybody, Travis Kelce, welcome back, buddy. You're going to see about 15, 16 targets, and deservingly so.
My fantasy guy for the week, we talked about him, and a guy that you need to put in your daily roster. I'm going to stay with it. Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Give me Romeo Dobbs. I think he's a guy who is going to have a big one again this week. especially against that Atlanta secondary. It's going to be a battle. Jesse Bates, former Bengal, had a pick in the game against Carolina. But I think if there's a guy who is going to have a game that's going to help out his young quarterback, it is Romeo Doubs. But that's it for the show this week, guys. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We appreciate you letting us fill your ears with some fantasy content. You can follow me on Twitter if you want, or X, or whatever you call it, at They Call Me Burn. Neither one of these guys have the Twitter sphere. As always, like, subscribe, thumbs up. Head over if you're on X or if you're on any other social medias, Big Jim Sports or Huddle Up Incorporated. There you will find the link tree with all the links to the other shows on this, as well as the other hosts, as well as the shop where you can buy some t-shirts to represent the Huddle Up Incorporated brand.
Sell the merch.
But for the guys, I am Mikey B. We will see you all next week right here on the FKC Fantasy Hour on the Huddle Up Incorporated. Good night.